So we know that Texas has the second largest, so not the largest, but second largest economy in the US. We know that because of all the different kinds of jobs and businesses that are available in Texas, that a lot of businesses, a lot of workers have wanted to come and live in Texas, to work in Texas. A big part of that, a big part of the way people make money in Texas is through agriculture, which is like farming and ranching. And they give us examples of livestock, which are things like cows and pigs and things like that, or livestock product, so things that they can make from those livestock. No, Brianna, right now we're just doing a review before we take our test. We know that the state of Texas makes a lot of things that they export, that they send to other places. So some of the things they mentioned, some of the industries that there's lots of jobs in are things like business, education, health, and then hospitality and manufacturing, making things. Okay. Now, as far as the things that help us to create jobs and to have jobs and businesses here in Texas, one of the big important natural resources are big mineral deposits. Specifically, the ones that are really important for Texas are things like petroleum and natural gas. So petroleum is what they use to make things like plastic, they use to make like Vaseline and all sorts of different things. And the natural gas is not like the kind you put in your car. Natural gas is like what we use to turn on some of our stoves. If you have the stove that has the fire on it, use natural gas for that. People use it to heat up their houses or all sorts of things. They'll use natural gas. About 1/3 of the oil reserves for the whole country come from Texas. So a big part of the oil in the country comes from Texas. It also has really nice soil in different parts of Texas, so they can grow different kinds of crops and things like that. It can grow lots of grass, which is really good if they have livestock, if they have animals, things like cows and sheep and things like that. They need the grass to eat. Otherwise, not a whole lot for them to eat, and they won't be very healthy. As far as landforms go, landforms, it depends on where you're at in Texas, but there's four major kinds of landforms that you'll see all over Texas. Okay, so we have hills, we have mountains, which we have in our region, the mountains and basins region where El Paso is. We have plains, which are just flat land, usually covered with grass. And plateaus. Plateaus is where the land kind of goes up and then kind of has like a top. And we talked about the four regions of Texas. Okay, the coastal plains, which is this orange area. The coastal plains are very near the ocean, so things like fishing and shipping are very important here. It's the biggest region of Texas. The weather's pretty nice over there, but it does get pretty humid. Especially the closer you get to the ocean, the more humid it will feel. And here they have things like lumber, so they have lots of trees. They have farming. People like to go there and visit. There's tourism. They like to see the ocean, the beach, see all the different shops they have. They also have ranching, so they have cattle, they have sheep, they have oil that they have out there as well. We have the Great Plains region, this blue area here. The Great Plains is a lot of flat land, so lots of prairies. They do have some good farming areas because they do have some areas of water, but for the most part, it is kind of dry. When people first started to live there, it was kind of tough because of the fact that there were only a couple of areas that had water and other areas were very dry. So they had things like droughts. They didn't have the water for their crops or for their animals or things like that. Do you have a question, Christopher?
Yes. I think we're getting ready for the bus right now. Because I see
Okay.
the bus lady that calls us out to go on red bus which is the bus I have to be taking now
Okay.
until this virus word stops.
Okay. But now the Great Plains area is known for having big cattle ranches and for having farms where they can grow things that don't require a whole lot of water, dry farming. So the climate there's a little bit of rain, not a whole lot. The summers are not super hot. The winters are kind of cold. They have plains, they have hills. They also have oil and gas jobs out there. There's again, farming and ranching are very popular. We have the Central Plains, which is this green area right here. The Central Plains doesn't have a lot of people that live there. Okay, Jada, that's fine. If you have to go, you can finish up the test when you get home. The Central Plains doesn't have. Yeah, same thing, Christopher. If the bus is there for you right now, go ahead and go, and then when you get home, you can finish up the test. Not a lot of people live there, so there's big open spaces, which is kind of good for certain.
I'm in a meeting during when I'm in the bus like I did yesterday.
You don't have to worry about that, Christopher.
If my
So if you have to go on the bus, just go ahead and go. You get home, do your test. I know, Nakai, you already wrote it, sir. So there's not a lot of people that live there. There's lots of open space. So for people with ranches or for farms, it's good. And it's also good for the oil industry because they need big areas to try to find the oil and to bring it up out of the ground. So it does get pretty cold there in the winter time. It gets kind of hot in the summer. It does get some rain, but not the most. Almost, Brianna. We're just going to finish up talking about the last region and then we'll take our test. And again, ranching and growing crops or vegetables are very big businesses here because of how much open space there is. The last one is the Mountains and Basins region, which is where we live. It's where El Paso is. So Mountains and Basins region is mostly desert. It is very dry here. So they do have some farming here, and it's for things that tend to grow better without lots and lots of water because we do live in a dry part of Texas. It doesn't get a whole lot of rain, like you know, because we live here. It doesn't rain very often, or if it does rain, it doesn't rain very much. But people are still able to farm here, to ranch here. They do have oil and natural gas jobs that are here. They find different pockets of it. Here, the big thing that we have that you don't really see anywhere else in Texas is we have mountains, why they call it the Mountains and Basins region. So no other place in Texas really has mountains outside of the Mountains and Basins region. Everywhere else they have beaches, they have plains, they have hills. We're the only ones that have mountains. Okay. So now that we finished with our review, oh, yes, Alexa.
I'm trying to go on that, and is it in social studies?
Yes, it is in social studies. But this is just for us to review. This isn't our test.
Oh, okay.
Our test is going to be in classwork. The topic is going to be social studies, and it just says regions.
I can't hear you. Mister?
Yes, Jadine.
What is it called? If we finished our writing assignment, can we turn it in?
No, we're not finished with it yet.
No, like our Arthur's Purpose one.
Oh, yes. Turn it in.
Thank you.
Yes, Alexa.
I still can't hear anyone. I went to social studies and it doesn't say that. It just says college of the week. And a lot of stuff college of the week.
Social studies or college of the week isn't in social studies. So you might have clicked on the wrong one by accident. Make sure you click on social studies as your topic and it'll be the very top one. It says regions test.
Oh yeah, I clicked on the wrong one. Sorry.
It's okay. So we're going to click on regions test. And like I said, it's not a very long test. 10 questions. We're going to go ahead and answer them, and that'll be the end of our day for today. Question number 1 says, what are the 4 major regions of Texas? El Paso, San Antonio, Houston, Dallas. Coastal Plains, Great Plains, Central Plains, Mountains and Basins. El Paso, Coastal Plains, San Antonio, and Central Plains. Or Dallas, Texas, Great Plains, Central Plains. You're going to pick whatever answer choice tells us the 4 major regions of Texas. Yes, Jaylene.
What does major mean?
Means important. Yes, Noah.
Okay, thank you. Mine's zoomed down and I cannot see it.
What does yours do? When you clicked on it, what happened?
It zoomed out and then I cannot see what it says.
Okay. Up here on the corner, Noah, you're going to click on the dots. Where it says zoom, you're going to click on the plus sign until you're able to see it. Okay? Yes, Alexa.
What are regions?
Regions are like areas. Question 2. What are Texas's most important natural resources? No, Nakai. We have oil, gas, petroleum, or all of the above. Question 3 says, what region is El Paso located in? Great Plains, Coastal Plains, Central Plains, or Mountains and Basins? Yes, Alexa.
What's a petroleum?
Petroleum. Petroleum is like what they make Vaseline out of. They use it to make plastic and things like that.
Okay, thank you.
I read the one about El Paso. So our next question, why would farmers want to live in the coastal plains? Hot and dry climate, plentiful water supply and flat land, dry desert, or mountains? So which of those would be a reason why a farmer would want to live in the coastal plains? Our next question, what region would be harder for people to settle? So what region would be harder for people to go and live in? Central Plains, Coastal Plains, Great Plains, or Mountains and Basins? I already changed it, Nakai. Don't worry, Nakai. I told you it's not due today, Nakai. I told you it wasn't homework today, Nakai. Trust me, no one else is going to get mad at you. I'm the teacher, dude. I'm telling you what to do. Don't worry about it. I got it. Yes, Jadine.
You skipped one.
No? I read this one before and then I read this one now.
You skipped what region is El Paso located in?
Well, I'll read it again. What region is El Paso located in? Great Plains, Coastal Plains, Central Plains, or Mountains and Basins?
What question are we in?
Right now, the last question I read was, what region would be harder for people to settle? Central Plains, Coastal Plains, Great Plains, or Mountains and Basins? But like I said, Christopher, if you're on the bus, sir, don't worry about doing it now. Take it when you're at home. That way you don't have to worry about trying to hurry before you lose the internet connection. So just do it at home. What region would people move to if they wanted to fish for a living? Central Plains, Coastal Plains, Great Plains, or mountains and basins? Yes, Nakai, that's fine. Next question. Great Plains landforms. So we got to pick what landforms we would see in the Great Plains. That it varies from being completely flat to having rolling hills. That it's very flat and usually dry. That it's covered in grasslands and rich soil. Or that it's mainly covered in desert. What is the land like, or what are the landforms like in the Great Plains? Okay, Chase. Okay, Brianna. What are the mountain and basin landforms? Does it change from being completely flat to rolling hills? Is it usually very flat land and very dry? Is it covered in grasslands and rich soil? Or is it covered in desert?
Mister, can you go back to one of them?
Which one? Which one do you need me to go back to, Jadine?
The fourth one.
Why would farmers want to live in the coastal plains? Hot and dry climate, plentiful water supply and flat land, dry desert, or mountains? You gotta pick a reason why the farmers would want to live there.
Sorry, I meant the fifth one.
What region would be harder for people to settle? That means what region would be harder for people to live in? Central Plains, Coastal Plains, Great Plains, or mountains and basins?
Okay, thank you.
The coastal plain landforms, what do we see there? Does it change from being completely flat to having rolling hills? Is it usually flat land that's very dry? Is it covered in grassland and rich soil? Or is it covered in desert? Bye, Noah. You finished the test already? Okay. Our last question. Central Plains landform. What do you see there in the Central Plains? Does it change from being very flat to having rolling hills? Is it very flat land that's usually dry? Is it covered in grass and rich soil? Or is it covered in desert? If you're finished with the test, Nakai, that's fine.
Bye.
Bye. Yes, Jaylene.
After school, can we do the test?
If you need more time to finish it, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But that's the last question to the test.
Can you read the last one again?
Central Plains landforms. So what do you see there? It changes from being completely flat to having rolling hills. It's very flat land that's dry. It's covered in grassland and it's full of grass and rich soil. Or it's covered in desert. Okay, Kaylee. And like usual, once you finish, make sure you go through all of your questions make sure that you pick a answer choice, or that you have an answer choice for every single question, and then press submit down on the bottom. You finished, Bailey?
Yes.
Okay.
Could I leave now?
Yeah, if you're finished, you are okay to leave.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, Bailey.